r/ProRevenge. Stories of people getting back at someone with pro-revenge after being wronged. Enjoy. Traitorous friend. I had been friends with, let's just call him Paul Blart, since the 5th grade. He was always getting bullied in school because of his excessive weight, but I always stuck with him. We had our disagreements, but we always made up. That was until high school at least. For the first time in forever, Blart finally made some friends, and one of them was a guy named Mike, not his real name. Now Mike was a bit of a douche. He was always messing with me and a few others in various ways, but he always did it in such a way that it was impossible to report him to the teachers, because what he was doing wasn't technically bullying. Blart and I were still friends though, and despite Mike's efforts to separate us, we stayed that way, or at least that's what it seemed like to me. We were nearing the end of the year when our teacher announced that we would be working on a group project. To my surprise, Blart chose to partner with Mike. I didn't have a problem with it and just picked some random guy to work with. Random guy didn't do anything to contribute to the project and left me to do it all by myself. I actually didn't have a problem with that because I enjoyed working alone. Come the day before the presentation and Blart gives me a call asking me to help revise his and Mike's project. I accepted, and an hour later I arrived at his doorstep. Mike was not with him. It turned out that he lost his project and needed to use mine. He said that he would heavily modify it, and after seeing what he did with the first paragraph I believed him. I gave him the USB it was stored on, so he could copy it onto his laptop. He finished and I left his house, but when I put the USB into my desktop it was empty. I assumed it was a mistake and called him. He didn't answer. I sent him texts, but he didn't respond. I was panicking when I remembered I still had the rough draft saved on my computer. I put that on the USB and went to sleep, praying that I would still get credit. When it was time for the presentation, Blart eagerly volunteered to go first, with Mike at his side. Mike had the most shot-faced grin on his face as he walked to the front. I raised my hand mid-presentation and declared that they stole my project. The teacher was shocked, but Blart made up some bullshit excuse about me stealing their project. And the ducking teacher believed them. She ducking believed them. I was sent to the principal's office and ended up failing that class because of him. Later in the day our history teacher also said that we would do a group presentation. But now I had an idea. I waited till the day before the presentation and called his mom to tell her that I left something at his house and needed to come over. I went to his house and found that he wasn't here. I opened his laptop and looked through the presentation. The USB was in the laptop. You see, the teacher made it mandatory that we include a video to go with our presentation. I searched his presentation until I found the link and then proceeded to replace it with a link to a particularly explicit corner. I left to go home and had the best sleep of my life. Presentation day came, and he walked up to the board. I was sitting in the back and could barely contain my excitement. He presented as normal until he reached the link. He clicked on it only for the classroom to be filled with extremely loud moaning. The teacher went insane and nearly broke his laptop while trying to turn it off. He was immediately sent to the principal's office and was expelled from the school. It was glorious. Which corner? I'm joking, lol, this belongs in r/mad lads. Substitute said we are going to be the ruining of America, so I put her out of a job. Little bit of backstory. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and am slightly autistic. Not a lot, but just enough to be considered on the spectrum. In this case, I would have trouble reading someone's social cues, keeping my mouth shut, interrupt people, understand someone else's feelings and understanding, conveying some emotions. I had little self-confidence and always asked what I should do, even if it was my decision on things. Due to my autistic characteristics, sometimes use a baby voice, which was my voice becoming higher pitch, squeaky when I became anxious. Despite being slightly autistic, I didn't struggle with grades. I worked hard despite having autism, and gave it my all in every subject I had, even though I didn't necessarily struggle with subject. At certain times of the day I asked questions, at times a lot of questions, so I sometimes would ask questions in a way that would answer what I really want to ask and not seem stupid. Another bit of background is that the middle school I went to had thick stone walls and a very heavy door. There could be a fight in the classrooms and you would barely hear anything in the hallways. The story. Throughout my school years, I had always had amazing teacher. My mom and dad were very involved with the school, and as a result the teachers and the principals knew me. They didn't necessarily give me special treatment due to my disability or relationship with my family, but I still felt that they knew me better than most other students. Every day around lunch, my morning medication wore off. I usually had to go to the nurse's office to take medication for my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. As such, I would come 2 to 3 minutes late to my third block class. My third block class was English. My teacher in that class understood that I had autism and wouldn't get upset when I asked obvious questions or was running a few minutes late to her class. One day, I had just came from the nurse's office and opened the door to my third block class. At my English teacher's desk was a woman in her late 40s, wearing a shirt with America on it. The class was usually louder than this since we had just came back for lunch, but it was dead silent. The woman, our substitute teacher, turned towards me with a very foul expression on her face. Evil substitute. Why are you late? As previously mentioned, I am slightly autistic and lack self-confidence, and back then I had the tendency to stutter and not look people in the eyes. Me. I just came from the nurse's office. Evil substitute. Are you sick? Me. No, I just needed. Evil substitute. Then sit down, she said, interrupting me. I sat down in my desk and class proceeded. I had never had a sub or teacher like this before, but I thought she might just be in a bad mood. After a few minutes, she passed out packets for us to work on, and the class began working on them. I looked at the title of the packet, and it was for the book we were working on, but it was on the next chapter, not the one we had read yesterday. We hadn't done the packet on the previous chapter, or read the chapter for the packet we were just given. I raised my hand. Evil substitute. Yes, me. This is for the next chapter. Did you want us to read the chapter silently? Evil substitute. Half. Yes. I was going to do that anyway, but this was my attempt at clarifying if they had meant to pass this out, and not the previous chapter's packet. I guess I broke the class's silent streak, as several of my classmates would get up and ask her questions about the packet. I would get up twice and ask her questions, but the only replies she would give were, half, just read the book, or, just make a guess. The answer key was on the desk, but she didn't make the effort to check. It was clear to everyone else that she was becoming agitated, but because I had trouble reading social cues, I didn't see it until it was too late. The third time I got up, she was already huffing. I wanted to ask her if this what kind of answer the question was asking without directly asking for the answer, but my brain got ahead of me. Would this be correct? Evil substitute. Are you seriously asking for me to give you the correct answer for you? I started to stutter when I tried to reply, but she didn't give me the chance. Evil substitute. How do you all not understand? You're the next generation of the world and you're asking me these obvious questions? Me. But it's obvious to you because you know the answers. In my mind, I was just making a statement about how she was more knowledgeable than us because she was an adult. However, she had interpreted it as me saying that the only reason she knew the answers to the sheet is because she had seen the answer key, basically calling her stupid. This set her off. Evil substitute. I've already graduated. You all should be smarter than this. But instead you kids are going to end up being the ruining of America. The class was silent. I went back to my seat and continued working. Meanwhile, she continued to go off on us, but not yelling like the last outburst. The bell rang and everyone in the class left. Most shrugged it off. Others said they would tell their parents, but I was having none of it. I had always been the person to not get angry until I couldn't contain my anger. But in this case I was ready to explode. During the next block I asked the teacher of that class if I could talk to the counselor about something and help me control my frustrations. She let me and I headed to the office. I wanted to tell the counselor about what had happened and maybe she could do something. I asked the woman in the office if I could talk to the counselor. She told me that the counselor was talking to the principal, so just wait outside. My medication had kicked in by this point, and it couldn't have done so at a better time. As soon as she said that, my eyes lit up. This was perfect. The revenge. Inside the principal's office, the counselor was sure enough talking to the principal. I was told to wait outside, but my plan needed them both in there at the same time. I went in anyway. Inside, I tapped on the counselor's back to get her attention. "School counselor, I'm in the middle of something. Is there something you need?" I made sure I close enough for the principal to hear my reply. Me. "Yes. Could you and I talk about the hurtful things?" the sub said. The plan went off without a hitch. I wanted her out of the school and never near a school again. Just as planned, the principal intervened. "Principal, if you don't mind, could you explain what you meant by hateful things?" After I explained what had happened, the principal called some of my classmates from my third block to verify this. After others reported the same, and even new ones, the next day, my English teacher was back, and the substitute wasn't seen at the school again. It turns out that the substitute was applying for a teaching job. I don't know all the details, but I'm fairly certain she didn't get it. In fact, before I left the middle school, it turned out I had cost her not only getting the job here but in the district. I've since graduated high school with honors, and even got first place in a writing competition. I don't know what all happened to her, but even though she said all those things, I still hope she found a job and is better now. That's it for this video. Make sure to subscribe for daily videos, and turn notifications on to make sure you don't miss any of our uploads. What did you think of the revenge stories? Let me know in the comments below. This is the Reddit Medic. It's a goddamn pandemic. Sub for daily videos, and don't forget to spread it. I'm a exit. Peace.